It is seconds out in Singapore and round 2 of the T100 Triathlon World Series. And what have we got in store? Well, fast and furious is guaranteed. Twists and turns for sure. Would you believe it? Wet and wild is forecast, which means we may well be in for chaos and carnage. We shall see to all of that, but it's Ashley, LCB and India Lee who lead out from 1, 2, 3. And when that gun goes, well, anyone knows.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a race on our hands.
And she has just stunned the world.
Chelsea Sodero takes the podium.
She can't quite believe it. Lucy Charles-Barclay, she does not mess around.
Ashley Gentle is back. On your marks.
And we're racing here for the second stop on the T100 World Tour in Singapore. Official water temperatures today, 30.9 degrees Celsius, air temperatures 32 degrees, and the humidity is hovering right around 60%. Because of these hot water temperatures, extremely hot water temperatures, the swim is officially a non-wetsuit swim. That means athletes are not allowed to wear wetsuits. Historically, this favours the stronger swimmers, of which there are quite a few in today's race. And we see probably the perfect example of that going right to the front of the race here in the pink cap. That's Lucy Charles-Barclay, the world's best swimmer in female triathlon, definitely here on the T100 World Tour. And she's done exactly what she always does. Goes straight to the front of the swim and starts swimming hard from the start. I'm joined here by Belinda Granger in commentary. We'll be joined by Jan Frodeno in a second. Belinda Granger, what do you see here at the start of the swim?
Well, exactly what you said. The two Lucys taking control very, very early on. We see it time and time again. We saw it in Miami. Good thing about this race, obviously, Lucy Buckingham, she was unfortunately quite ill going into Miami. We know that she is very fit and very healthy, so it's going to be great to see the two Lucys and just see how much of a lead they are able to get on the rest of this group. We know Lottie Wilms is also from the Netherlands, is also racing, very, very strong swimmer. I spoke to her earlier this week and she is adamant that she is going to try and stay on the feet of the two Lucys.
Last year here in Singapore, we saw Lucy. She was swimming with Sarah Perez-Sala, and she wasn't quite as fit as she would have liked to have been at the race, and surprisingly came into T1 with Sarah Perez-Sala in front of her. But here we are, only a couple of 100 metres into the swim course, and she's actually established a little break by herself instantly. Now, one of the things Lucy Charles-Barclay is famous for is her takeout speed. And you can see right there, she's got about 5 metres on Lucy Buckingham in second. Then behind them, the two are Rebecca Clark on the left, and to the right, we've got Lottie Wilms. I think everyone considers them the strongest swimmers in the field. Surprisingly, maybe for some, maybe not for others, India Lee is next in line, 5th. This is going to be a big part of the race, Belinda, here in the swim. Does Lucy Buckingham get back onto Lucy Charles-Barclay's feet? She's nearly there. She's hovering right around there. If she gets them, she'll be there to T1. If she doesn't, we might see Lucy Charles come into T1 by herself. And then what happens with this back group? Do Rebecca Clark and Lottie Wilms establish a little group of themselves? Can India Lee sit on it? Does it become a big working group?
Look, all valid questions there, and I think the most important thing for today's race is definitely going to be the conditions. Now, while I would love to see Lottie Wilms and Rebecca Clark make it into the front group here, and that would be an incredible group of 4 heading into transition. It's really difficult you really need to try and keep that temperature to a minimum. We know that your body temperature is going to continue to climb as the longer the race goes on. So really important for these women to be very, very strategic with their racing today. And they don't want to get that body temperature going up too quickly, too early, because you know what that's going to spell for the run. It's going to be absolute chaos.
Looking at Lucy Charles' rankings as opposed to everyone else in the T100 Tour, the fastest swimmer, the fastest bike rider and the first fastest runner in this race. I think something interesting here is just how easy Lucy Buckingham has started to look. It makes me think that the water conditions being so hot maybe have slowed the pace down. Lucy Charles-Barclay has a very fast turnover and always looks like she's swimming very fast, but yeah, surprising just how easy Lucy Buckingham looks on her feet there. And then Rebecca Clark also looks amazing. She's got a new coach. We don't know what form she's in this year. I mean, it looks pretty promising early. What Lucy Charles-Barclay, Lucy Buckingham and Rebecca Clark are going to see here is going to excite them. They're going to see a massive gap, way bigger than what they saw last year. It will motivate them to swim hard for the remaining 800-metre stretch into T1.
So since I'm sitting here with two Aussies, could somebody explain to me why it's called an Aussie exit?
You know, it's funny, I got the same question all around the world. Look, I think it started back in the day. A lot of our triathlon events that we used to have back when I used to race, the Aussie exit was quite a common thing, normally it was on a beach, so we do a lot of swimming in the open water at our beaches, and we often, you'd do one loop swim, you'd get out, run up the beach around a flag and then back in again. So that's the Aussie exit.
I'd say that's a little group, and probably the first group of chasers that have big favourites in it. Particularly, we've got to keep an eye on Ash Gentle there. 49 seconds down. That's quite a lot. And as Jan sort of hinted at early, it's usually the second lap out of the Aussie exit where the lead really starts to build. So keep an eye on that.
As we see them preparing now for T2, there's a significant gap that's been created. But I think in terms of how you place the swim, also Lucy looking like she's easy, but not taking the lead. I mean, you know, this is Buckingham, I mean, of course, Lucy Buckingham.
Yeah,
she looked like she was almost about to swim catch-up, but she didn't take the lead, so I don't think it's that easy for her.
No, and it's also smart racing on Lucy Buckingham's behalf. But you're right, Lucy Charles-Barclay, and that's what I love about the way she races. She races to win, and anything less than that is not good enough. And she's been the bridesmaid so many times. She was bridesmaid in Miami. She is coming here and she will want the win here today. It's not going to be easy for her, but she's setting herself up now to make sure that she's got every chance possible for that to happen.
Look at this gap. That is
huge.
That's huge. I do think this is the biggest gap we've ever seen in a PTO or T100 race, female race. I think actually probably the biggest gap we've seen in a men's or women's race in T100 history. It wasn't the fastest swim ever, which speaks to the conditions. Now, it wasn't the fastest swim ever, and they've got a huge gap. Like, it's over a minute, maybe even a minute and a half slower than what they were at Miami only a few weeks ago. But I guess that speaks to the hot water conditions being 30.9 degrees Celsius.
Great swim from Lotte Willems as we see the two Lucys off the front here. Lucy Charles-Barclay already got her eyes down and looking like she's in the zone. Transition about to go, and what we've got especially here, they've got little cooler boxes where they were able to place fluids beforehand. Just another testament to how hot these conditions are. We see Lucy Charles-Barclay put some ice into her suit, and we're about to take on the run course and see the gap right here.
That's Hayley Chura coming out of the water right now. We've got Lotte Willems right on her heels right behind. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly, there you go, that gap.
A minute and 12 seconds.
Wow.
It has blown out by, 45 extra seconds than it was at the Aussie exit. So what Jan said early, that the second half of the swim does seem to be where the gaps really establish themselves, is exactly what happens. Jan, we're seeing Lucy Buckingham be the more aggressive one out of T1. She was there, and we see Ash Gentle here entering T1 as well.
And I would say that was probably around another 20 seconds off the top of my head. If we're looking at the times...
And this is a good group. This is Imogen Simmons right now, Jocelyn McCauley right behind her. And there you go. We've got India Lee.
India Lee's had a tough second half of that swim. Keep in mind that she was about 20 seconds ahead of Ashley Gentle at the Aussie exit, and Ash Gentle's caught her and gone past her.
It's going to be interesting to see these first three. Of course, my mistake, it was Rebecca Clark who was on the feet of the two Lucys earlier on. But these three are going to be pushing the pedals hard as, they've made the whole field hurt. And we can definitely see that, the conditions are quite something. Once you get your body temperature up, it's also very hard to get it back down.
What a fantastic transition from Ash Gentle. Look at that. She's coming out with Lotte Willems out of T1 now, with Lotte Willems and Hayley Chura only just in front. So incredibly fast transition from Ash Gentle.
We're seeing here at the front of the race, Lucy Charles-Barclay, as she always does, racing aggressively. Lucy Buckingham got that good start out of T1, but up on the Shears Bridge, so this is the first climb of the day. It's almost a kilometre long, not quite a kilometre. It's the most gentle of the climbs, but that is where Lucy Charles-Barclay has gone to the front, and I mean, this is the time that her and Lucy Buckingham get to work, isn't it?
This is what I love about Ash Dental. She's so level-headed. She's got so much patience, and her years of experience are coming through. She won't do anything silly now. She'll just get back down in the error bars, and she will just slowly but surely start taking some time.
Something I'm really excited about that we've got here at the T100 Singapore today is the Supernova Slow-Mo. Let's have a look right now.
This is Chelsea Sodaro.
Oh, and look at this. She's
And-
trying so hard and
she
missing.
Can't get any of those bottles. And after Miami, this is interesting because we heard this at the briefing, that volunteers are no longer allowed to move with the athletes. So normally what you try and hope for as an athlete, we call them the angel volunteers, are the ones that run a couple of meters with you just to create less of a discrepancy between the pace that you're riding at and them standing still. If you're trying to grab a bottle that would have condensation on it, so it'd be wet on the outside, while you're hitting at 40k or 45k an hour, it's extremely difficult. And we just saw Chelsea Sodaro drop at least 5 bottles, and luckily getting one at the end.
So we're coming into the 4th lap of the bike here. We've got Lucy Charles-Barclay in front. Lucy Buckingham still sitting with her. That gap is sort of, it's just yo-yoing between 20 metres and 30, 40 metres, but Lucy Buckingham is staying there nice and strong.
Oh, and look at this. Chelsea Sodaro is not feeling very good right now.
I can't see anything there that says to me technical. I'm not sure if you can see anything here, Jan. Can you see anything technical happen? To me, it just looks like maybe it's something going on with her physically or mentally today.
Yeah, and you know, the first thing she looked for in this situation is the camera. She looked around to see whether someone was there. And you know, another important thing right here is that she heads home. That's you know, she's talking to Patrick, who is one of the head referees here, and he's taking her off the course, which is strange, in my opinion. I think as an athlete, you should come back, you should face the music. It's part of the pain that you need to go through in order to grow from it. At this very point in time, if I'm very honest, I think she's hiding from the emotions, which is understandable. But it's not the right move as a professional athlete. You need to grow from the adversity, and you do that by facing the music, rather than doing what you want to do, which is what everyone wants to do. You want to go back to the hotel and see no one.
We've just got eyes on Ash Gentle here, who's 2 minutes 20 down from the lead. She has actually just slightly extended her gap to Imogen Simmons and India Lee, where it did look like it was coming the other way. So for the first time the whole race, are we seeing Lucy Buckingham come to the front of the race and make the pass on Lucy Charles? She's come into the draft zone, so she has to. I wonder why at this point. We're about halfway into the bike when she's decided to make the lead and make the move and come into the lead of the race. We sort of said this, Belinda and Jan, that it did look like she was choosing to sit in, not like she couldn't go to the front if she want. Is she going there to work, or is she going there to attack, Jan?
Yeah, you know, I think it's really... I think it's really fascinating to see that she has taken the courage, because I think it is also a thing of courage to go out. When you're sitting on a world champion, it is a thing of respect very often, and for a young up-and-coming athlete, there is kind of a barrier that you have to break mentally in order to be like, okay, she's a world champion, I can go around her and I can take this race. And I think what would also be encouraging is for her to see that the lead is growing. They are growing from the back, and of course that plays into her card. We talked about the necessity of the trio that was away, now it's a duo at the front. And I think Lucy Charles-Barclay would just be absolutely reveling at the fact that she's got some help here.
I went for a run yesterday in that torrential rain, and it was actually quite pleasant. I went for a run this morning in the hot, steamy conditions, and it was a whole different ball game. So if it does start to rain on this run, I'm with you, Jan. I think it's going to be a blessing in disguise for these athletes today. If it starts to run before they get off the bike, then that could be chaos, because it is a very technical bike ride. I would not want to be riding this bike if there was a torrential downpour.
And it's also, if it gets to that point where it hasn't quite rained, but it's about to, that's about the point where conditions are at their absolute hardest. So it's such this knife's edge. And like Jan said, we are like teetering on the verge of this race just not being able to go ahead because of how brutal the conditions they are. Like, they're right below that point where we're still allowed to race. The water temperature, it was only allowed to be 31 degrees. It was 30.9. Lightning, it's 15k away. It's only allowed to be 13k away. All of this, it just speaks to how crazy this place we are is. We just quickly have a look here at the time gaps given to Lucy Buckingham and Lucy Charles-Barclay. So now they definitely know that Ash and Indy are 4:15 back. That's such good information for them and positive affirmation for them to keep on pushing as they are growing that gap. We're just having a look here. Lucy Buckingham appears to be cramping potentially.
No.
Something's going on here. We need to get a bit of a close-up of this. It looks like she's trying to stretch out a glute or a hamstring or a quad, particularly maybe on that right-hand side. Jan said it before, at any moment you can cramp on this race and you have to go, it's the left hammy. Left hamstring has cramped on Lucy Buckingham there. We saw Lucy Charles-Barclay go around in front of her. It's exactly like you called, Jan. This is the jeopardy of racing in Singapore. It looks like everything can be going well. Everything looked like it was going perfectly for Lucy Buckingham. Her partner, Coach Mark, refused to say anything before 10 kilometres to go in the race. We're seeing now why.
But look at that. She's just, it can happen at any moment, any time. We've seen it happen with Christian Blumenfeld here before. So, but all she needed to do was just stop pedaling, stretch it out, be patient, don't stress, don't get upset about it. And look, she's already back on track. But you saw that Lucy Charles-Barclay took that opportunity immediately to take the lead, to keep that pace going. But it looks now like she's got it back under control. But yep, as Jan said, welcome to racing in Asia.
As we have a look at Els Visser attacking up here up the climb, she went straight past India Lee there. And it's funny, because she went around her and Lucy Byram stuck with her, we saw that sort of drag her past India Lee as well, and India Lee be the one to fall back. This group here is now really interesting as to whether Els Visser goes to the front of it and actually helps them bridge the gap, and Ash Gentle and Imogen Simmons therefore get a little bit closer to Lucy Charles-Barclay and Lucy Buckingham out in front, or whether she just goes straight past them and they can't hold on. Lucy Charles-Barclay here, she's got her feet out of her shoes, she's entering T2. She's broken Lucy Buckingham that little bit at the back end of the ride. Now she probably in her head isn't thinking about Lucy Buckingham. Thanks for the companionship, it was great. Her head now goes to, when can I see Ash Gentle? When can I see Els Visser? When can I see Lucy Byram? Imogen Simmons? She's going to hit T2 here. She's going to really try and aggressively attack T2. We know she always does. She did at Miami. She's going to do it again here. Then she gets out onto the Marina Bay sands. She'll settle into her race pace, not far into the run. She gets her first look at her competition.
I just saw Jan, big shake of the head there as Lucy Charles-Barclay came into transition. You did notice that she came to a complete standstill. It is the rule that you are not allowed to be on your bike when you roll across that red line. Obviously, that is the dismount line. You must make sure that you are off your bike before then. But Jan, you were not happy with Lucy Charles-Barclay's dismount, were you?
Well, yeah, I mean, let's be honest. The two ladies are transitioned in the same moment, simply because, you know, she chose to stop and then lift her leg over the saddle, whereas Lucy Buckingham would have probably jumped off her bike. But, you know, they're little things, and I love the effort she puts in, and I really enjoy how hard she fights for it. And then there are little things that, you know, that will be 5 seconds, or it feels like 5. Maybe it's only 1 second. Anyways, I complained about this in Miami in terms of her cornering. She's cornering fantastic. So by the time we get to San Francisco,
she'll have that transition
we'll be
sorted.
seeing all those extra seconds add up. And, you know, these first steps, I think, right now in the athletes' minds, they are very telling. These girls are flying out.
Look at Ash Gentle.
Ash Gentle looks great. You have to say,
incredible.
she's coming straight around Els Visser, making her mark on this race. But I think, you know, between these two girls, there's certainly a strong chance of, well, one of them's definitely going to make a podium, but maybe even both of them. We'll have to see.
I mean, we're not even 4K into the run yet as we see them make the pass. Ash Gentle's going to see that she's gained that minute. She's going to be able to tell that she's bridging that gap to Lucy Charles-Barclay. And Lucy Charles-Barclay, Jan, is going to see, look at that, you saw that Ash Gentle just eyes on her, prey versus predator type stuff going on there. Lucy Charles-Barclay would have seen how fast Ash Gentle was moving.
It's this woman on screen right now, Anne Reichman, having one of the fastest runs on screen. So Anne Reichman really racing well. We know that she's a solid runner, very good bike rider. But both Els Visser and Anne Reichman, I think these two women are definitely a chance for the podium. As you can see that Ash Gentle now just overtaken Lucy Buckingham. We knew it was inevitable, but it has finally happened. And now we know Ash Gentle is on the hunt for the only Lucy left in front of her, Lucy Charles-Barclay.
And we are seeing for the first time in today's race, since very, very early on in the swim, the gap is under 2 minutes between Ash Gentle and Lucy Charles-Barclay. And every 100 metres that goes past, Ash Gentle is covering. The percentage of max heart rate's very interesting here. Ash Gentle is 1 minute and 43 seconds down behind Lucy Charles-Barclay after 7.5 kilometres, and she's running at 90% of her max heart rate. Lucy Charles-Barclay, very similar at 87% of her max heart rate. I don't know what's a bigger result, Els Visser finishing third or Lucy Buckingham finishing fourth. Like, either way, whoever gets the podium, whoever finishes fourth between those two, or if Anne Reichman can catch them, even then, top 5 for these two women in Lucy Buckingham and Els Visser is huge. Like, without question, one of the best performances of both of their careers, if not maybe the best, very close too.
Oh, here we go.
20 seconds
coming in.
20 seconds it is between Ash Gentle and Lucy Buckingham. We were talking at the start of the run. Is 5.5 minutes enough? There's not. It's 5 kilometres to go, 4.6 kilometres to go, and she's there within striking distance.
What do you think she's going to do, though, Jan, once she catches?
Yeah.
What, let's have some bets, boys, before it happens. Will she put a surge in?
Bum tap.
Yeah, here we go. Is it coming?
Hey, Jack, it's a little bit like that tap that Sam Long gave to Sam Laidlow. Is there going to be one? Nothing. Not a thing.
No love lost. Wow.
That is just all business from Ash Gentle. 4.1 kilometres to go. She makes the decisive pass of the day. In triathlon, in conditions like this, you usually make the pass and they don't go the other way. Once you make the pass, they're usually done. Ash Gentle didn't just make that pass, she made the pass and she pushed and she just turned her head back and had a look. That's a sign she definitely put in a surge, and you saw it. That's 25, 30 minutes already.
As we see the next pass, Els Visser has finally caught Lucy Buckingham, but as we say, you know, this is a situation, everybody here is winning in this shot. Everybody is still going to be ecstatic over. I think Els Visser getting a podium is absolutely huge if that remains that way. And right now, this is a beautiful moment as the smile hits her face. She's on the finishing straight.
Ashley Gentle, a 2-time PTO Open champion, her debut T100 World Tour race. As she gives some high fives, tears up, crosses the line. Her first ever T100 World Tour Series victory. 5 minutes, 30 seconds down out of T2. She's done it.
And what a smile. You know, you were right. Right before, I think when it just hit, you did see that wave of emotion come over Jan, and there were almost tears. But then once she came into that finish shoot, when she saw that tape, high-fiving the crowd on the way down, and that big, beautiful smile of hers. Still a fantastic race from Lucy Charles-Barclay, but she just wasn't fast enough on that run with the fleet-footed Ash Gentle.
Grateful for every supporter that's out there to come and cheer her on. I mean, she is definitely one of the crowd favorites, but I can tell you what, she will be happy to finish this race and get that hug.
Els Visser, never been on a PTO podium before. Here we are at Singapore, podium at the T100. This is a special, special day for Els Visser. She probably can't believe it. A lot of people probably can't believe it, but that is an almighty performance.
Well, as the stars come home, we have got the two top steppers alongside Ashley and Lucy. I'm going to say many, many congratulations to you both, but with a dash of commiserations as well. I think the grimace says it all, but I'm going to come to you first of all. Welcome back to Singapore and back-to-back in Singapore. Another quiet day at the office. How was that?
It was like one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. It was a brutal day. It was like, yeah, it was ridiculously hard. Lucy was amazing and made it really difficult for me.
Good camaraderie, brilliant rivalry as well. Is it congratulations, is it commiserations for you today, Lucy? How are you feeling off the back of that immediately?
Yeah, I mean, I played my cards and came out with second today. I think it's bittersweet being at the front all that time, but I felt really strong, and I think I just want to build each race. I definitely felt miles better than Miami. So, yeah, Ashley had me running scared, though. I knew she was coming. She's so strong on that run, and yeah, like I said, I had to really push it on that bike to see what I could do, and it wasn't quite enough today, but it's definitely motivation for the next one.
Confirmation then of a fabulous day of racing. Ashley Gentle with that quite remarkable run that takes her to top spot back-to-back here in Singapore. Lucy Charles-Barclay with a heroic performance, but unfortunately not quite able to get her first T100 victory, but the fastest swim of the day and strong on the bike as well. And Els Visser, all smiles as she crossed, and she rounds off that podium. Singapore is where the East meets the West. It's where money talks. It's where high rollers gamble. And it's where the skyline rises high and history runs deep. And this weekend, all those ingredients and more go into triathlon's melting pot, with over 2,000 competing in the various age groups. But now it's time for the men's T100. And if Miami was the warm-up, this weekend, these athletes step into an Asian furnace that can burn very hot.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a race on our hands.
Alistair Brownlee has the pedigree to win on his day, and he's showing today.
Honestly, we all, for the history of the sport, wanted to see you get back to the top step.
Jason West, the best performance of his career. He is coming in second place. It is a massive prize for Jason West.
Magnus Ditlev, the first ever winner of the T100.
On your marks.
1, 2, 3. My baby don't mess around because she loves me so, and this I know for sure. But does she really?
And we're away. The Singapore T100 in our elite.
And we're racing here for day 2 at the T100 World Tour in Singapore. Official water temperature today, 30.9 degrees, same as yesterday. Air temperature, 31.6 degrees Celsius. The humidity a little bit higher than yesterday at around 70%. Because of the hot water temperatures, the swim is again officially a non-wetsuit swim. That means the men are not allowed to wear wetsuits today, just like the women yesterday. I'm here, joined again today by Belinda Granger. Belinda Granger, day 2, here we are.
Very, very exciting. Look, first thing I've noticed about today, Jack, the temperature change. We don't have that hot, blaring sun coming down on us. Even walking here from the hotel this morning to the race venue, you could see that it was noticeably I don't like to use the word cooler because it's still incredibly warm, but it certainly wasn't that sun beating down on your head. But what I did notice is that the air feels a lot thicker today than it was yesterday.
Having a look at those images, we could see that we've got probably 2, borderline 3 clear groups forming. We've got a group out to the left, or an individual out to the left. That's Sam Laidlow. So he's sort of taken his own line. A very, very wide line compared to the group we have on the right, which is led by Josh Amberger. Josh Amberger, obviously a late call-up today for this race after Javier Gomez was unable to start. So he's sort of playing his card as you would expect as a wild card. His swim is his strength, and he's gone straight to the front of the swim.
The gentlemen today have a bit of cloud cover, which makes a huge difference. When we first came out here, there was no cloud cover, and it was even more brutal than it is. But here we are. The water temperature 0.1 degree off the legal limit yet again. 30.9 degrees. And I said it yesterday on the commentary, 30.9 degrees is a touch off your spa bar. Trying to go at a heart rate of roughly 180, depending on where your max is. It's tough. It genuinely is tough.
So we've got Josh Amberger in the lead, Kyle Smith sitting there in second, Daniel Backegard third, Aaron Royals made his way up there. He's going to sit third or fourth right now. Alistair Brownlee just behind them, and then looks like it's Jason West in sixth. The swim sort of has started to settle. The pace line's still strong. The big mover is that Aaron Royal is now up to third and fourth, and you saw at the start of the swim he was about 12th at one point, so he's moved his way up comfortably to where we would sort of expect. And like Jan said, Alistair Brownlee, a second lap specialist. Aaron Royal's sort of taken that role in the T100 series as well lately.
On the Singapore leg of the T100 World Tour.
So they approach the Aussie exit as we saw yesterday. It's a little bit of a battle to get up that little soft climb out of it. Josh Amberger leads us out. Aaron Royal second. Kyle Smith there in third in the white suit, usually in the black. Alistair Brownlee next in fourth. Daniel Backegard, Ben Canute, Jason West, Yuri Cullen with no cap, Sam Laidlow. There is a little bit of a gap here now. That there might be a little bit of just a little bit of a gap. That one's going to be quite hard to chase. David McNamee there just diving in. He's definitely on the wrong end of that, and that will be a split. And you can see Sam Long right at the back of the pack here. I mean, back of the pack's the wrong way to describe this. He's completely by himself. And it makes things harder and harder because he's kind of lost. You can see he hasn't taken the best line to the buoy. He's a little bit in no man's land, and there's a massive gap between him and second last here on the swim. These conditions, they exacerbate your weaknesses in the swim. There's no wetsuit, there's hot water, there's an Aussie exit, and there's a very fast lead group right now. Belinda, take me inside the mind of Sam Long when he's, completely isolated and so far back this early in the race.
Well, it's funny you should ask me that, Jack, because I had the exact same conversation with Sam Long this morning in the athlete area before they went out to do their final warm-up. He knows it's going to happen. He prepares for it. He doesn't expect anything different. And he said, I fully expect to come into transition with a 3, 4, maybe even 5-minute deficit today. And it doesn't seem to faze him. He seemed to have his head really firmly on his shoulders today. And as I said, as long as you're prepared for it, it's not a shock. He just needs to get on that bike and just start hunting them down one by one. What is going to be interesting today, though, it has started raining out there. Now, we had a dry day for the women yesterday, so it was never an issue. It has started raining out there. All of the men racing have decided to go with pressure in their tyres for a dry race. If we do have a lot of rain come through, that is going to make that ride really, really tricky, and it's going to mean that athletes are going to be less likely to take risks. So maybe a good thing for Sam if that front pack doesn't end up taking it out as hard as they would normally do.
I still think these 11 men are going to come into transition as a pretty compressed group.
They are, but I'm telling you, there is no way in the world when they come around here the next time on the bike, which is on the first of 8 laps, that there will be 11 of these gents paired together. Here we go, transition 1. Show us what you got.
So we've got Aaron Royal taking charge out of the swim. Josh Amberger right on his feet, wild card late call up. I mean, does he be aggressive here out of T1? Kyle Smith, like we talked about, choosing the white suit to make it a little bit cooler. Alistair Brownlee there as well. Daniel Backergaard next out. Ben Canute right on his feet. Jason West, as we talked about, an established front pack swimmer directly behind him, Sam Laidlow. It is then Mika Newt. We saw how aggressive Mika Newt was out of T1 here last year. He took the lead with Christian Blumenfeld, Peter Heinrich as well. We then did have Kasper Stepniak and Yuri Kulin right on his feet. This is a massive group, and contrasting it to the women's field into T1 yesterday when we saw the three women in Lucy Charles-Barclay, Lucy Buckingham and Rebecca Clark, this couldn't be a different story for Linda Granger.
It's incredible. And what about the power in this group? And great to see Jason West having such a strong swim. He is right up amongst it all as they head towards transition. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there was a little bit of rain. Let's hope that it doesn't eventuate and that they have dry roads, because as you've mentioned, really quite a technical course, Jan, and you do not want to ride this course hard if it is wet.
Well, that depends on who you are. I spoke to Alistair Brownlee, and he was begging for rain because he loves it. Alistair just throwing the bucket of ice over his head. He doesn't even bother being measured with it. He just takes the whole thing, throws it over his head. And we see Daniel Backergaard shoving some ice down the front of his top, which is of course legal. The bottles are not legal, but ice is legal at these races. So there we are playing with the rules, because one is considered an aerodynamic flaring, the other is considered for cooling. And Sam Laidlow making the pack. There you go, the mark of a champion. He decided to drop his socks this time, and he is ready to go. The last but not the least, this we can be sure of, Sam is going to fight to the line. And get your stopwatches ready.
We know from Miami, he was last out of the water in Miami, and he was able to make his way all the way up into second place, which is, I still think it's unbelievable, but it's going to be a hard task for him to do that here today in Singapore as we get our first shots of that enormous group.
All right, get your stopwatches out. Sam Long has touched land.
So we know that 350 is an attainable gap for Sam Long. If you want to take part in the Singapore Spectacular, then you can in 2025, and you can get 35% off your entry when you do so. All you need to do, point your camera on your iPhone at the screen at the QR code, take the registration link there, sign up 2025, join us here on this brutal but beautiful course. So Sam Laidlow here in charge, Mika Newt directly behind him, Kyle Smith behind him, and Alistair Brownlee. And given the slow start Sam Laidlow did have in the swim, to make his way back up to that front pack and lead here up the second climb of the day, the steepest climb of the day, that's actually quite impressive, Jan.
I am very impressed, and I am also very pleased to see that he's changed his tactics, and he has chosen to not go with the aerodynamic socks, which he has done every single race. Unfortunately, that decision cost him about 70 kilometers of time trialing last time in Miami to close that gap. But similar to Miami, he has lost that first bottle already on the back of that aerodynamic construction he's got at the back of his seat, is where normally he's supposed to have a bottle, and he has lost that. You know, to be honest, it's a personal thing. Some athletes are religious with their nutrition and they get very worried about it. I don't take Sam Laidlow as being that guy. He would just pick up carbs from along the course.
So here we're getting images of Sam Long on the bike. Now he's giving the thumbs up, and he's come out of the water almost 4 minutes down, but we have heard that he's been given a 30-second penalty because he's misplaced some swim equipment. It has not made its way into the box. So Sam Long is going to have to serve a 30-second penalty on top of his 4-minute deficit he had into T1. Yuri Kulin moving his way to the front. Who would have seen that coming? Kyle Smith's in second. Sam Laidlow off to the right in third. Mika Newt there looking behind him in fourth. Jason West and Alistair Brownlee are then in fifth and sixth. We've got Kyle Stepniak at the back. Then we've got Aaron Royal and Peter Heinrich. This is a very compressed group of 10. They are super close up this steep climb. This is probably the steepest and hardest climb on the course. Belinda, how surprised are you to see Yuri Kulin being the one to push the pace here about 25 kilometres into the bike ride?
Look, he came here with a mission, and there was one mission that was to do just as well as he did a few weeks ago in Miami. He wants to top 3 is what he told me, so he wants to podium. He wants to show that he is worthy of a contract for this series.
He said something to me at breakfast this morning. He said, I am a, and he did this. If you can see what I'm doing with my hand, he was meaning I am a motorbike. He knew today that he was going to go on the bike.
But also, let's be honest, I mean, there's been a little bit of a talk that Yuri sometimes is a little guilty of sitting on, sometimes a little bit too close. You know that the men have spoken about it. It's been a little bit of a he said, she said, but great to see Yuri taking the lead now.
All right, I'm going to have to say it. I'm going to cop it, but honestly, the way these guys are riding right now, they are going to have to pull in to the technical just to recharge the lights on their race ranges. The lights are going off, and
it's like a disco.
Blink
it's
City.
Like a disco out there.
I mean, I know the game is being played technically, and it's easy saying from an air-conditioned box, but there is a lot of very close riding going on here.
So Sam Long about to take a few more victims as we anticipated.
And Fred Funk just up ahead too. This will be interesting. Does Sam Long go past Fred Funk and just blow past him, or can Fred Funk sit on his wheel? This seems like quite an awkward position here for Fred Funk. A lot of us would have seen the deficit he had out of T1 and thought, okay, he'll just ride across to that front group, but doesn't seem to be happening. He does seem to be going a little bit backwards, and Sam Long has got right up to him now. So a big moment in Fred Funk's race. Can he sit on him? Can
Look
Sam
at that.
Long take him
He's
to the front?
not even attempting to. Look at the difference in their cadence. You can see that Sam Long is really attacking this climb up over the bridge here, while Frederick Funk sitting down in the saddle, low cadence, not really looking like he's pushing the pedals at all. The biggest news of the day, Sam Laidlow is now out of the race. He has stopped his bike and he has stepped off the course. So we know it was right near the turnabout, right near transition that he stepped off the course. Ben Canute has also fallen out of that lead group, so down to 9 athletes. Jason West is just teetering on the back of that group. I said that this would be the case. That, oh my gosh, I knew it would start to fall apart. But we still have Jason West just teetering off the back. We've got this man, Yuri Kulin. He is the reason that this is happening. He is riding so incredibly well off the front. We know that it's down around 13 to 15 seconds now back to Ali Brownlee, and an extra 21 to Mika Newt. So this race really starting to open up. As you see Brownlee on screen now, that gap has really opened up between him and Yuri Kulin.
Yuri is definitely putting down the hammer. I mean, he's gone on that little out and back bit, and we're only just now starting to see the chase group of 6 who are coming in from behind, and the gap looks like it's blown out to a full minute. I'm not sure I would be confident giving this man a minute going into a run course, as he's very smart. Oh, slowing down here to try and grab the bottles. Oh no,
Chelsea from yesterday.
He
didn't get one. Redemption for Chelsea Sodaro.
Right down 4 bottles. That was despite slowing down. He's got a little bit of something left. That's unfortunate, but you know, because it's so hot, all these bottles have condensation, and they're hard to grab. See that red light flashing just at the back of Carl Smith's bike, and that's the race ranger telling the rider behind that he's just sitting a little bit too close.
If I was that official on the bike right now, I would be having a stern word to all of them. And that's the whole idea of Race Ranger. It gives the officials that visual to see, okay, are they within that 20 metres, are they outside? But that red light being on, that's a dead giveaway. So I would be giving each and every one of them a stern warning and saying, if you do not push back, you will get a penalty. We know that it's a 3-minute penalty if they are done for drafting, but no more playing nice. We are over halfway through. We're almost, 20k to go left in this bike ride. These men know what 20 metres is. They've raced it before. The red lights are on. You move yourself back out of that draft zone. Yuri coming into transition on his own.
Jan, you talked about Lucy Charles' transition yesterday. How does Yuri Kulan look?
That was perfect.
Oh, that was looking very smooth. He was prepared. He would be relishing in the fact that he's off by himself. And he actually looks very smooth. He looks like he's in control. He's very coordinated. Yep, that's another sign, you know, that you get your bike racked without any problems. He's putting on the socks here, which you really want to do in these conditions. Make sure you don't blister, which you would pay for on the last kilometers of the run. But this is actually his discipline. You know, this is where he was expecting to shine, and he is out in the front. He looks good. He looks determined.
Great.
And he has got a tailwind with him right now, mentally as well, being off the front. Great work. I can only tip my hat as he takes off, and here we go. We are on to the final 18K.
And I'm really impressed. We have 3 laps here today. Here we go. That chase group is in. We've got Mika Nut, Kyle Smith, Alistair Brownlee.
Casper Stepniak, then
yep.
Peter Heinrich. Jan, talk us through their T2s again. You're the T2 wizard.
All right, here we go. Looks like everybody is off to a smooth transition. Oh, Alistair Brownlee have a little bit of a fumble. Oh,
he's dropped something.
Somebody has dropped something.
That's Casper Stepniak.
That's Casper Stepniak. Should be hugely unfortunate, but I think he won't be penalized for that. He went back and got it. Alistair Brownlee racking his bike right here. And let's see, because remember, he spent all his ice on the first transition zone, so he's got nothing to cool him down right now. Mika Nut, as I mentioned earlier, he was the only one riding with socks, which is why he's got a significantly faster transition right now. Everybody else would have to put on socks. Oh, no, Alistair found more ice. He's gone back to the bar. As Mika Nut is already heading out, Alistair is still cooling down. Oh, Yuri looking like the Terminator. Let's see if we have any relative speeds. I mean, Lucy looked strong as well, running out of transition yesterday, but he looks good. He looks in control.
Leading into T2, Alistair Brownlee, a small problem which our slow motion cameras have caught.
All right, so he's got to get a foot down before the red line, and oh no, don't, oh my, oh. But is his foot on the line? Oh wow, it's 30 seconds. 30 seconds is not the end of the world. He's angry right now, but Alistair, if there's ever anybody who could turn anger into speed, that's Alistair. I mean, sad to see, because, you know, we're talking about centimeters here. He missed centimeters getting into T2, but he's just been passed by Peter Heinrich because of that tiny mistake.
It's almost annoying how good Yuri Kulan looks. He just, a year ago, not many people in the triathlon world even knew who Yuri Kulan was, and here he is leading the hardest T100 race in the most brutal conditions and looking, yeah, amazing doing it.
Well, we heard the pre-race interview. Not to call it early, but I can't wait for the post-race interview.
He's going to
when
go
he
nuts.
really blows things apart. Let's wait and see. But right now we've got Alistair on screen.
Oh, and look right behind there, Jan. You can see Sam Long.
Oh my
Sam
goodness.
Long is storming.
Sam Long just got to the shot. That is amazing. Remember, he's still got 30 seconds to serve, but the way he's moving, again, fitness plays such a huge factor here. And Sam Long would definitely be one of the fitter athletes out on course.
Do you think there is a situation where Sam Long doesn't know he actually has a penalty to serve?
Yeah, I wondered the
Surely
same
someone's got to tell him. Surely someone is allowed to tell him.
I would love to know, but...
Oh, Alistair Brownlee.
No, Alistair.
No.
Not again.
8K.
He breaks my heart
It
every
does
single
me
time.
too. I agree. It's... I hate to see it. I hate to see it happen to anyone, but particularly to Ali Brownlee. Look, a little bit of cramp. He's trying to stretch it out. Come on, Ali. Come on.
That is heartbreaking. I mean, we were joking about it, but oh my goodness, Sam Long is just chewing through the field. He's caught Carl Smith.
This is quite sad to see, as Alistair Brownlee's day sort of went from bad to worse with a great bike, great swim, was in a good position, got that penalty, and now we see him here sitting quite casually on the edge of the Marina Bay. We're getting a slow motion footage of Sam Long here. We think he's just been informed for the first time today that he does have a penalty into transition. 30 seconds, again, just to remind you, that swim skin that you see, it needs to be in the swim box. It's not, it's outside of the swim box. It is that swim skin which is the cause of his 30-second penalty.
But I don't think Sam's worried about these two guys. He had his eyes on the prize, and all he wanted to do is see Yuri Kulin's heels, which no one has done yet today. But he bolts right past Peter Heimrich again.
And we see Yuri Kulin hit the blue carpet for the final time. 4th place at Miami less than 4 weeks ago. An underdog to many, but in Yuri Kulin's eyes, he came here to win, and win he has. The most impressive performance in Yuri Kulin's young career. He crosses the line, he has won the T100 Singapore, the biggest win of his career. He collapses. I can't believe it. He told us all, though, this is no surprise to him.
Absolutely incredible. And you look at him, look at that face. He has given it absolutely everything that he had today. Honestly, Jack, regardless of the penalty today, he was never, ever catching Yuri Kulin. But fantastic race from Sam Long to finish in 2nd place. He will take 2nd place here today.
2nd place at Miami and 2nd place here 1 month later in Singapore. Sam Long, the most consistent bike runner in the sport.
Do you think he's happy? I think he's happy.
Slam dunk over the finish line. Sam Long, the fastest bike runner in the T100 World Tour. Once he gets that swim, watch out, world.
What a race. Last fish out of the water, bike well, running like a gun, then you haven't tidied your bedroom so you get a 30-second fine. Just talk us through, and with a slam dunk to finish, talk us through how that race panned out for you today.
Yeah, I'd say I basically executed my strategy as I planned. I mean, you know, I wouldn't say last fish, I would say first land animal out of the water, and everyone else is a fish. And I think I have something in my body. I can't go overboard, and you know, if I swim harder, I would have been overheated and my race would have been over, and then I just carried my business. And I'm here because I love this, the T100. It's a brilliant tour, and I'm just having the time of my life racing with my peers and my competitors and my rivals.
Let's just confirm the race standings for you, and when Yuri gets the chance to bring himself out of the medical tent and to have a little look, not just at this, but also at the overall standings, he is going to be one very, very happy boy, because he comes home here in brutal conditions in Singapore to take the win in the 2024 Singapore T100. Credit to Sam Long, last out of the water, but so good on the bike and so good on the run as well. Factor in as well that he had a 30-second penalty for not putting his swimsuit into the box, and Peter Heimrich it is who rounds out the podium. From all the team at the T100, thank you for your company. We'll see you very soon. Have a very good week. Bye for now.